I get it. It's gone. I tucked it in. Okay. You can change this if you want.
I don't know what it is.
My hair looks way more redder on the thing.
I could be like for you can't have
One more time and going back to dark for the winter time.
what?
My hair. So I have the opportunity to live stream and maintain people's privacy. That's why I don't do it when other people are here, because they don't want to be on camera.
I scared him away. I'm too chocolatey.
I haven't seen any really of the news today, but it's Sunday. We were going over on Twitter about
Chocolate.
Not on Twitter, we weren't, babe.
I was.
On about the Florida news and what was it, Israel? I think that's beneficial in terms of people living here. I'm gonna have to go in the other room, right, babe?
What?
So I'm not talking while you're watching TV. Is that gonna bother you?
No.
Like we were talking about in terms of reminding the population about why they want to maintain peace and not cause problems because of the essential services like the running water and the electricity and the food, cable television, most people that are in the housing.
Are you doing it right now?
Yeah.
I thought you were going in.
Why, you want to say something?
No, I thought you were going in.
Well, that's what I asked you.
Yeah.
If the talking was going to bother you, that's why I asked you. I was going to talk a little bit about the previouss because Brian didn't want to talk about that earlier.
No, I'm saying it would bother me a little bit. Yes.
Okay. Let me plug my phone in. I think the plug's over there. The purple one. Can you just pull it from there, babe, and then I'll just plug it in. Go in the other one. Thanks. You're not going to do your dance?
What dance?
The dance from the other night?
No.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
After I was live streaming, you said something. You were dancing. I said you should have done that on the live stream. What's up? Got a dog in here. So far, Brian's not interested in being the next Aaron Carter, obviously. So I'll take my miraculous ass in the other room for my time. So anyways, like I was beginning to talk to Brian about, but he had no interest in it. In terms of, I went over on Facebook and Twitter about the Lusitania, that's one of the previous's. That's like the previous that I'm pretty sure about. Especially after seeing the photographs, because there's not a way that I could be having a dream. Some portions of it are reoccurring. Not knowing what it is, and then seeing that, because it's when you have dreams, sometimes they're so odd when you try to explain them to another person. Because I wouldn't think that it would exist in a house where you find a hallway and you enter a room with a bed and then another bed like you've seen in the photographs. And when I saw the photographs, I went, oh my God. Also the one, and then there's like fragments of dreams that I thought were separate dreams that are the same thing. I describe it as Rooms to Go. If you don't know what Rooms to Go is, it's a furniture store. And then that might explain the other one that was triggered when I went to this church in Park Street in Boston. like Inherit the Wind Church, where I'm going up some sort of a staircase, and then there's round fences with the tables in them, like on almost like I would think an opera house or something, but it's possible that's also a cruise ship since I've been on cruise ships. And I took a Carnival cruise once where we were seated at the bottom table with all the other tables around like that, just like the photograph on Wiki. So there's not a way that that a person's imagination could make that up and then it matches up with that. And then the other one about where I thought I was standing on a bridge with one of those water outlets that they can open so the water comes out. Like it makes sense. I thought it was a bridge because there's a bridge on a ship. So I'm pretty sure it's that, like in terms of how many cruise ships that look like that have sunk. Because the other part of it is a horrifying nightmare that I don't like to bring up in my mind. It's so terrible. And then the color of the water too matches up with, I looked up where the ship was. So I remember I saw a show on PBS or something when I was like in junior high school or high school. That seemed wicked interesting to me, and it was about the Lusitania, and they had like photographs of like dead people and dead children and stuff, and something about it got my attention. I remember that. So I explained the thing about the water where it was like me and another person, and children kept going down into the water, and we were like, or it's telling someone, and they were like diving down trying to save these people. So it was like absolutely horrifying. So pretty sure that's the same set of things. And then I forgot until this morning, and I was about to discuss it with Brian, but he just was talking about other things. He doesn't really have an interest in that, talking much about spirituality and cycling. So we are, again, I think it's like a series of dreams where my mind made up that it was something else in the dream about being on an airplane with someone, and then the airplane's about to go down, and then I turn, and I had a red sweater on, and I turn and I tell the person I'm with that I love them, and then it apparently crashes, and I just see dirt and bones. Like it's like the weirdest thing where I just was like this, and I can see dirt with bones that I'm falling into, and then it just immediately, like a door slamming, and I woke up in my bedroom. I was like really little. I was still sharing a room with my sister, and I would say I was probably maybe in elementary school, if not before that. And it was a terrifying, like jumping up in bed thing. So I don't know if I was decapitated or something, because it took until a couple of years ago for that to even be a thought of explanation for that. Because they say when they cut their heads off, they can see them blinking sometimes, like if there's anything going on, because that would make sense if your head was falling into a vat of other heads or something. I don't really have nightmares about burning. I had the one incident where I attempted suicide when I was about 18. And then I recall waking up in the hospital bed at a sunrise, thanking God for not letting me die. But then after that, I had a nightmare about, again, not really burning, but that's the one where it's sort of like a series of things. And I was like recalling this must have happened to me when I was unconscious. Maybe like an explanation as to why I wasn't allowed to commit suicide. But it was like scary, probably, so I wouldn't try to do it again. Not I believe in hell. So I sometimes have counseled people about that, about they've attempted suicide and said they went to hell. I don't believe in hell in any way, shape, or form, but I do believe that God will scare the dickens out of you so you stop trying to do that. And that you could be recalling something else in that unconscious state. He may be reminding you what's going on and that you're not really supposed to be doing that. You don't actually escape anything. Where in mine, it's really dark and there's like a clock, and I'm like begging over and over and over again to please get me out of there. Just another sort of like horrifying dream. So most of mine are actually kind of not positive in terms of given dreams. Some of the other stuff after 2011, a lot of stuff about what people are calling Native Americans. I went over a bunch of that. That whatever that was a pretty happy, etched in my mind existence, and it could be coupled with God just explaining to me the future of what I'm going to be doing. But it seemed familiar, like I had like flashbacks when I took that trip to the airport. Not I had dreams about that. Of a woman. She appeared to be covered in either blood or excrement. Like she had rubbed it all over herself and she was screaming, and there was some sort of a campfire or something going on. So that's not really pleasant. Aside from this dream, so I misspoke. So I'm just being reminded about the old man in the mountain where this was junior high school, and I woke up and I recall telling people I just had the weirdest dream where the old man in the mountain was talking, and it was like actually moving and talking. So I would say maybe at the time there was visions of that it was actually moving. It's almighty. I mean, I'm sure most people know what hallucinations are, so God can trigger that. Not you have to take LSD to have it happen. I'm sure many people have tried from what I've read about LSD. You can't put yourself on a walkabout and you can't go on a vision quest. Only Almighty God causes that to happen. Not you can actually like simulate that. So if you took a hallucinogen and you thought you were doing that, you're just hallucinating, in my opinion. I wasn't even, was I smoking cigarettes then? I might have been smoking tobacco. It's like sketchy because I was like periods of time during the early year, like the early 2011, where I wasn't smoking for some times. So I don't use drugs. I wasn't drinking alcohol. I don't have schizophrenia, as they call it. So I'm pretty sure that God can induce that state. I'm sure people have tried to do it, taking strangers to the mountain, as it's called, and trying to cause them to have sleep deprivation, dehydration, and things, and making them walk and thinking they're going to turn into a human being. It doesn't work that way. And I don't know if all human beings are prophets. I still don't have the answer to that. You can't guarantee that you're not because you don't want to be one. I would say that most prophets don't want to be one at the beginning. And then the other species makes it tremendously difficult to be a prophet because of the Holocaust. Sometimes because of being put in a mental institution is what I'm gathering does happen sometimes. But I put myself in one in 2016, in case people forgot, when you try to diagnose people. I've talked to psychiatrists and psychiatric nurses and therapists. So there's a certain criteria for certain mental illnesses that apparently I don't fit into, other than post-traumatic stress disorder and hypertension. So just to reiterate that, you do qualify for Social Security with post-traumatic stress disorder, by the way, and a medical. So some people are not aware of post-traumatic stress disorder this severe. They're not really aware of that. Some people try to make up that they have it, And luckily, a lot of it is not really on WebMD. So, right. I don't think I've ever read where someone with post-traumatic stress disorder can be put into a psychosis when they're under enough stress. Other than Jacob's Ladder, the film, that can actually happen when someone suffered a severe trauma in childhood and then they're triggered by more abuse. So if people were wondering if I was not telling people in the psychiatric field what exactly my experiences I've had, I have. Okay, absolutely have. They know all about God talking, God's voice. They know about the walkabout business. They know about hearing and seeing things that aren't there, supposedly. Um, that's probably debatable in the academic field if they're actually not there. We don't have a way of knowing if something's there or not. We can't see ear either or hear dog whistles. And people have ways of determining it is there, just we can't hear and see it. So, anyways, in terms of miraculous, that just came up outside before I came in here. So I don't know if someone's talking about that right now or something. Just it's humorous to me about Kevin Spacey and stuff. I'm sorry. There was a bit of a discussion about Versailles and Louis XVI earlier because I was looking at furniture. Apparently, settees, Brian looked it up, is English. It's not even French. But I started thinking about Petit Triton when I was looking at the furniture. I just remember how much I liked it. I would have lived there. I liked the rooms with the different color schemes and really tall ceilings and elaborate woodworking. Yeah, that would be mightily expensive to live that way. I was just looking at a bedroom set that I don't conceive when we get our own place. I don't conceive of us buying new furniture. Just you go to Habitat for Humanity, my brother's keeper, stuff on the side of the road. I also don't want to just collect junk just because it's free. So I would go probably once at a time until I found something I liked. So been there, done that. Had a plastic table, had plastic chairs, had a mattress and a box spring on the floor. So just a apartment itself would be fantastic. So I don't know if public housing is becoming more and more unpopular. If that helps people that are quote unquote willing to live in public housing, maybe. So everybody is hooked on these Section 8s now, and they're all going to get these fancy apartments out in Quincy and Weymouth with the swimming pools and the fitness centers and things. So some of that is good, some of it is bad. The lived-in apartment complexes like that in Florida. I think it's definitely good for some people. And then that helps other people that would take a public housing apartment like in a heartbeat. Like I don't know. I've lived in apartments. Brian's lived in an apartment. I owned 3 homes, so you have to pay the utilities. Home ownership is a big responsibility. I'm not against it, but on Social Security, that was the other thing. Brian wants to call our caseworker Monday. He gets it, but now he's starting to turn into me, slowly but surely. He just wants to ask her about it. The paperwork is kind of confusing, and basically just that's what the law is, just so the whole public knows. As to you have to vote. Okay, you have to vote. You have to ask for things to be changed. We're not doing the transition like some people thought they were doing. They misunderstood what was going on. We can go over that again in terms of anything that I said. You had to Exodus 20 and get rid of your monetary system and start a one card system where every person in the land piece has a card with the same amount and the housing is free. Okay. you would have had to have had people that could distribute the housing, and then apparently the public decided that wasn't going to be, and that has to end. After that, you're completely treasonous and criminal. You have to go through the proper channels. You have to apply for the things, and those people are supposed to be following the setup structure, the criteria that they do. Okay. So I highly suggest that if you haven't applied for things and you're living in the dire straits that I've been subject to, that you please apply for the governmental benefits, even if you're planning on working. Okay. The SNAP food cards, the housing, the Social Security, so you can get the emergency cash. And then if you decide at that point to begin working and you realize you can work, some people think they can work and they can't. So apply for the things, you just report to them your income and they shut you off. Okay. I don't know if they've put into law a housing for work program. Okay, that would be appropriate in my opinion, especially the one room occupancies, even the apartments with the swimming pools and things, if those people are working, especially in essential services. Okay, that's up to your lawmakers and the people who fund all of their governmental programs to make that legal. Okay, you've got to wait till it's made legal, not you can just work in an office and begin doing things on your own. It was admirable if people tried to do that. Okay, but that's how you get in trouble because it's also not fair. We went over you do things online, you do see people online, you do see people on television, and you do give them donations. Okay, we don't have to keep doing that, but some people wanted to explain it to the population. I think you clearly saw me online. Okay, and you still did not rectify my injustice. Okay. So, believe me, I've let that go quite some time ago. I filled out the forms. I don't know if people were saying that. There's a full record of everything I've done. They still didn't give me the things even when I qualified. Okay. I think I've, to the best of my ability, understood why that was going on. And then it's explained to those people why they were doing it. And if they could please then stop doing it. It doesn't mean it's okay to do it. It's explaining to you a behavior that's incorrect and why you're doing it. Okay. You don't house me. So that you know, and you're not, I don't know, worried that you're going to lose your family. Okay. Your family's going to go where you're going. That is what God is telling you. So you should feel relieved. Okay. Because some people are probably upset that they have certain family members that are not going to be in their species wherever it is they're going. Okay. So, it's just a fact of life. It seems like most people have come to accept that and understand that. It's good to, if they have little scare things, that you explain to them again to the best of your ability or my ability what I believe the conditions are going to be on planet Earth. Okay, I'm on this land piece. This is the land piece created for my species. So I usually stick to that, but by understanding it's the entire planet Earth. Okay, because Neanderthals cannot exist in Europe. God already explained that with your ships coming here and doing this to my land. You encroached completely on a land piece surrounded by water. Okay, so it's just not possible for your species to survive in this type of physical body. Okay, that's what your brains decide to do with hands and feet. Okay, you built ships, you built airplanes to get here and then refuse to leave. So it's never going to be any different. Your species does not recall cycles and you don't change your behavior. Okay, so that was probably a discussion back when they came here. They thought they could change. They were given 350 years to change, and then it was explained to them they can't change. Okay, one house, and you're not cutting down any trees, so it was over as soon as it began. just rebuilding Europe over here. Yes, it's a cookie cutter, and it's just the same thing over and over and over again. So that's why your species generally doesn't recall cycles. You'd be extremely bored. The concept of forever drives you mad for a reason, because your basic life is, no, all due respect, pretty boring. But the way that your brains function, when you cycle, you're not really remembering it. Okay, so it's new to you like every time, and then you feel like superstars because you've mastered political science. Okay, or bridge drawing, architecture. Okay. Um, in terms of, this goes into what you're calling Buddhism, which to me means budding in science, but we'll stick with that terminology for understanding language exchange, idea exchange. Whatever brain you have, it will feel like you're in a different place, I'm sure. Okay, it's all about your concept of reality through whatever brain you're in. Like a squirrel, we don't know what a squirrel's thinking and saying, okay, but it makes sense to a squirrel. So it will be some sort of heaven. I don't know if some of you are getting given dreams about, or in reading the Holy Bible. And I guess it's okay to study the other doctrines as long as you don't start getting really out there, which some people do, unfortunately. Most Christians really like to stick to the Holy Bible, I think. So, right, like, not your thoughts control reality. Okay. Your reality is controlled by your thoughts. Okay. So, whatever God has programmed in your data, when you go to the next thing, you may be in some sort of a species where you fully believe you're controlling everything with your thoughts, and that's allowed. Okay. It will be some sort of a species that's in accordance with an ecosystem, even if you think it's not. We don't know what ants think. Okay, they may be all the time out to rebuild and destroy, but they're actually in a delusion. In a sense, I mean, that's reality. The dirt is being moved around continuously, so they're building super highways, all that. Bob the Builder. They're in a big, huge family. They're carrying each other around. They're sharing food, centralized nest, or whatever it is. So rather than become scared because you're in a different brain right now, the ego, they just embrace it. You have to trust God there. So a lot of the things that I've been discussing probably sound horrifyingly bad to you and not real. Okay. They're making green pancakes, so it's kind of interesting. I think it's avocados. It's got to be mixed with something, right? Huh. It's like a tortilla. That sounds good. Avocados and eggs, I guess. For people that are diabetic or on keto, or both. The best way I would describe my species is it's like you think Native Americans were living. I don't really want to get into that, but I do often hear a lot of things about a lot of people want to be Native American, and that's okay. There's not a reason to get into it with people. That is what they want to take with them wherever they're going. Some of the things I sort of correct if the conversation goes there, but not in this environment. With Tommy, I did about the warring. Okay, only your species does that. My species doesn't war. Okay, just absolutely doesn't war. Okay, we're just extremely meek, and it's annoying to your species how meek we are. Okay, we don't have a reason to war. We don't own any property. We're nomadic, and we honor Mother Earth. There's nothing to war over. Okay, so we don't want to maintain genetic lines. Um, we don't overpopulate. We accept to the given assignments where you're either barren, you're single, or you're homosexual. Okay. And then other times, there's so many different ways to express your romance in a marriage that you don't have to produce all those children. I have an understanding of it because I was in a bad marriage and I had 6 children. Because when you're in a bad marriage, that's what you want to do. You really, really enjoy motherhood to the nth degree when you're not distracted by an actual romantic partner who takes up a lot of your time. Okay. And then having to live a certain lifestyle where you don't have slaves. I cannot foresee at all my species having 6, 7, 8, 9 children. I just don't see it happening. Okay, so you have to do certain things to get pregnant. I explained the thing about different ages, different sexes. Yeah, I mean, infertility is kind of a weird concept because I would think you'd have to have something wrong with you, which wouldn't be good for your health. So I would expect periods of singlehood, homosexuality, big differences in ages. So you could be in your 30s before you meet a mate, and then you'll be lucky if you have a child. People naturally lose fertility, particular females, as they age. So I have heard some studies about women, if they delay childbearing till like 35, they have a difficulty, but we don't know if those people were my species or not. So I don't know if that's actually true in my species. I do prefer to have children younger, but I don't have the other experience right now. So you'd have to ask someone else that you've determined is a human, is my species, and they didn't have a child till they were 36 or 37, and then see what they thought about it. What happened to their body, their energy level, what happened to their marriage. I can't conceive of having like a really good marriage with a really good sex life and then popping out a bunch of kids after being married that long. It's got to be people that have like one kid and go, yeah, we're done. It's just that's a big distraction from your relationship. Well, when you're married to someone that doesn't really, you're not having that connection, and the person's at work all the time, you welcome the distraction. That's pretty much all you talk about. I got a husband who wants to talk about himself night and day, so I mean, that definitely wouldn't work out. It is really good that he didn't want to have children. He has no concept of what that is. I could explain it to him. Like, no other people have noticed it. Right, like this right here, he would never be like that if there was a person interacting with me. Yeah, he would be right like a child, right in here trying to get my attention. So if I had a child, it would be a constant competition. That's not good. So I think that's good for women to hear before they have children. Right. I mean, my opinion, my point of view, myself, I can't conceive of wanting children before you meet your mate. But right, like after you do, if you still have like this burning desire for children, I mean, really don't meet up with someone who is that attentive towards you. It might seem like a good idea, but I'm thinking it's bad. Like you really would have to go with someone who's wicked independent like me. Okay. And then basically you probably want all the child's attention. You want to be the favored parent, and the other parent has to not care, or you're gonna have problems. So I think usually females do that, don't they? If I had to think about it, I don't know. I don't have statistics in front of me where the females become agitated because the man's attention is supposed to be totally on her and not another person. Oh, the thing that Brian wants to ask the caseworker about punishing married people for getting married. So I'll explain our particular case again in terms of voting or things that people might want to discuss with their representative in their state. Okay. Because I don't know if it's a rarity of some sort. That's what I was asking on DTA Connects. I think sometimes it's better to do this because you're not getting a tone in a tweet. And yeah, sometimes there's a few of them because it takes it time. I've had to repeatedly ask people to stop talking because I wasn't done explaining my situation. You need to know the person's situation before you just keep blah 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 at me. And even if it doesn't matter, I'm here to talk to you. That's why God born me in 1971. Okay. So you have two homeless people that are both disabled. Okay. We have no other form of income. And we both were receiving SNAP food card units. And then when you discovered that we were married, you immediately began lowering our SNAP food, which doesn't make any sense. Okay. For anyone married, I'm not understanding why your SNAP food would go down. Because I got married, that doesn't mean I suddenly eat half a sandwich when I was eating a whole sandwich before. I'm not gathering that. Your hunger doesn't just cut in half because you got married. Okay. The other aspect I explained is that we're both homeless. We're not even in a shelter anymore. Okay, and we don't have the ability to cook. So why would our SNAP food need go down at that point? Okay. So the other thing is the emergency cash because we're both in process with Social Security. Okay. So if you had two people that applied for Social Security that were a couple and they were living as a married couple, whether they're outside in a tent, they're in a house, they're in a shelter. Okay. They'd both get 401 a month, correct? Okay. Why would a married couple then get less? In particular, when they're homeless. Because I'm sure the rationale that was told to people is because you're sharing a rent, so you don't have your expenses are not as a single person. Okay, we don't have housing yet. So, but we're hoping that we're going to hear back from Dedham Housing someday. I've been pending document review for weeks now. Okay, so that's something for your lawmakers. They had to be aware of it, right? Okay, most people are aware that married people get punished economically by your system. So Brian has not been married before. Okay. So just maybe what she thinks about it. What do you think about that? Like, but why? Like maybe he just wants her to state it. It's specifically because we got married. Because our life situation actually got worse, not better, because we were in a shelter where we had no expenses. And they give you food if you have nothing else to eat because the food is not good. But when you're street homeless, why would we be street homeless and have our food and our money lowered? So it's specifically because we married, correct? Okay. So that's encouraging amorality and it's degrading your population. It affects people's self-esteem, whether they want to admit it or not. So you're encouraging fraud on people. And I believe it's a form of degradation. I believe that that's what you're doing. Okay. And then it's an excuse for men why they don't marry women, even when they're pregnant, which I don't like. So I really encourage people to vote Republican in the state of Massachusetts, which I know is foreign concept. And I'm not exactly sure what that is other than the Kennedys. The Kennedys are dead and gone in the grave. Okay, Massachusetts, you need to move on. I was born in 1971. I never could stand the Kennedys. I've never been a Democrat. Okay, I'm a Republican in terms of your system. Hi. You can do it. He did a dance, but it's not on camera. I'm trying to remember if I actually voted for Bill Clinton in college because I was that influenced at that time. I may have once done it, but I was not registered as a Democrat. You can vote for anybody in the president. Never. That would be a huge regret of mine. Would I ever vote for that person? Gross. Clearly long before Monica Lewinsky. Okay. I actually think I didn't like George Bush Sr. Wasn't he the president? I was probably being brainwashed by college, yes, even though I thought I was maintaining something myself. The first vote I casted, to my recall, was for William Weld as the governor of Massachusetts. I've always been a Republican. Okay, so Republicans do believe in a welfare system. In case people didn't know who started the welfare system, to my knowledge, it was a Republican. Okay, what the heck's his name? The New Deal. I know I can't. Is it no? Well, obviously you can't tell me. With the letters, the one with the letters that did like 4 terms as president after the war. Yeah, Mitt Romney. I can't think of the name now. Anyways, maybe it'll come to me later. I know because I won't stop thinking about it. That's why. The New Deal. Okay, that was because of a war. Okay, so in just probably bad things going on and what happened in Germany and stuff. Okay, so Republicans do believe in a welfare system. George Bush explained that to you about compassionate conservatism, and then went the insanity. Right. I do believe in a welfare system, yes. But I don't agree with that being a way of life and encouraging degradation of women, which has been the result of it, and the people that have reduced capacity. It's been an absolute nightmare. Some kind of potato pie. Oh, wait, no, it's a pastry. It's a pie. All right. So there should be a sort of fear of how you're going to take care of yourself if you get pregnant when you're not married. Yes. It's obviously convinced many a female not to demand to be married, even when you're bearing children, which is absolutely disgusting and terrible. And then you've got to sneak your what would be your husband in normal life into an apartment, and then you can get in trouble for it. It's really kind of gross if you think about it. I think it's good to really have those discussions about how disgusting that is to do to people. Like everybody's, sneaking in a child molester into their bedroom. Okay, so in just every day of people's lives, the thing with the children with the different last name than the mother or the right, it's just awful. That is people. There's got to be at least a population of people doing that because of economics, or the woman thinks that's what it is. Okay, ladies, no justice, no peace. Okay, so be prepared for that. Clearly, none of that was even a topic with Brian. I am the one who initiated him applying for Social Security, applying for the emergency cash. I did the champ because that's a whole nother topic about how a person, okay, can be street homeless that long. Why is that going on? Because I'm sure the public wants to know why that's going on. As people like myself are having the social media shut off when we're trying to explain it to the best of our ability, what we've seen and heard ourselves. Okay, it's really that easy. Say that you were assigned, I don't know, 3 people. Okay, it shouldn't be as much work as I went through. But if people are having a difficulty, say they've become a caseworker for somebody like that and they're having a difficulty, I think maybe you're taking on something you're just not qualified to do. Because I just did it with absolutely no training. I don't have a degree in sociology, social work, anything. Okay, especially people that have money to take public transportation, people that drive. If you're in housing and you have an income, you have a T pass, you have a car, and you can't get these people off of the street, really step aside. Okay, because sometimes you're a hindrance to people who can actually do things. Okay. If I had a person that dire straits that was that willing, probably, especially when Brian and I are housed and all of our stuff is taken care of. Yes. Um, I don't think you have to have a degree, but it's if you're not homeless, you've got to be introduced to homeless people. Okay. Um, they will tell you, yeah, I know I'm going to do that. They're never going to do it. You need to ask them how long they've been street homeless. Okay. Had I stayed in Quincy, I had told Brian, I go, I'm going to omit the person's name. I'm going to end up walking that person down to Gavin eventually, right? Okay. I believe that's why he kept coming around. They can't do it on their own. Nope. They can't do it on their own. Grown men, grown women, they will just tell you that everything's all right and they're going to do with this, that they're not going to. Okay. They don't want to go in the shelter, so give up that fight. Clearly, I am sorry, I am not a doctor, but if you've been using drugs and you've been drinking and you're living outside for, I don't know, 6 months, a year, you need to apply for Social Security disability. Okay? Right. You don't have to be ashamed of yourself or whatever, but it's so difficult to live outside anyway. Okay, say that you're not. I did 8 weeks outside in the wintertime, just so you know. Um, every day, getting up in a public bathroom, sometimes screaming at a man to stop coming into it, washing with a cup, washcloth, soap, cups of hot water. Okay, washing out clothes, drying underwear on a cup in the library, under the desk discreetly. Okay, I did 8 weeks of it. So that it can be masked sometimes when people are using. Okay. Because apparently you folks aren't getting this housing that other people are getting. That's free. Or you don't even pay anything, or you're not able to maintain it. I don't know that until you're in something. I wouldn't know that unless you were in housing and you had to leave it. If you were evicted or you somehow ran away from it, but I'm open to listening to that too, because that actually happened to me where I had to run away from it because the people in it were insane. Okay, so that was the 3 weeks in a rooming house filled with mentally ill people and a mentally ill woman running it. It's that same corporation I asked you to defund 4 years ago. Okay. It seemed like some aspects of it were getting better, and then you saw the result. They still did the same thing to me. I don't know if they've got it in their mind that after 6 months, people would ask why they didn't house me. That's entirely possible that was already going on, where other residents who are new were asking why I wasn't housed. The state could have been asking why I wasn't being housed. Why a caseworker that was assigned to me was fired. Okay. Why the next one immediately said you need a voucher because you're a married couple. Okay, so there was staff members that left. Again, that typically happens after I go in there. Okay, so it could have been the new law that your governor signed, right, about the 9 months maximum. And I had already been there about 5.5 months this time. So there becomes a need to get rid of me. Because otherwise you've got to house me. And if you house me, I'm not a hostage that you say you need funding for. And you have to explain what just happened from March of 2012. If you're making up continuously things like I go in there and I report, I get you more funding, I'm on a visit. I've heard various things from staff members there as to what is going on with me. Okay. So someone, I got to look it up. I don't know if it's true. When you're hearing things from people, you just go, I didn't hear it from a staff member, and I did not hear it from your governor, and I did not hear it from HUD or anyone that works for the housing authorities. It was residents at the shelter told me that they heard that Quincy was halting vouchers for 2 months. And then I was told that HUD is halting vouchers until the election. So that sounds like disassociations to me that they made up. Some people do that. There was a couple of them, and they're doing that. It happens. Um, so mentally ill people go into disabled housing if they can care for themselves. All right, so that's not an excuse for homelessness. Right. I read it myself. The only time it's not is when you cannot care for yourself because it becomes dangerous. But that doesn't mean you leave a person laying on the street. Okay, so clearly there is no safety net. Clearly there isn't. And I think what has happened, I wouldn't even blame the hospitals. Okay. I think what has happened is the people entrusted with these homeless shelters are incompetent. And then the public, I think the public knows they're incompetent too at this point. Okay. They just cannot do what they keep telling people they're doing. It's now called a housing resource center, where we were told when the building was being built that they expected people not to live there long term, that they were just going to immediately be put into housing. Okay, well, I just spent 5.5 months in your new building. I'm not in housing. I was told by your caseworker not to go through the housing authorities. Now, I know that some people have infiltrated the place and are basically screaming at the residents that they need to apply for things. Okay. Maybe work. They need to work. They need to apply for things. They need to go to the housing authorities. So if you encountered this type of a glitch that annoyed me at first, but I know what it is, something something I couldn't do, and they said you have to call the housing authorities. That's why they're doing that. Okay, so if you're used to dealing with the shelter and a caseworker helps you apply and they have their own housing and you're on a waiting list for it, no. Okay. If you don't have a phone and you can't go to the Champ and set up a Champ account, then you need to find someone that will help you do that. And that person does not have to be a social worker. Okay. Like a friend at the shelter, if you're not in a shelter, a friend. Okay. Just to help you set it up. What, an hour maybe? Okay. And then once it's in your phone, you just go bloop and then it's all there for you to look at. I don't, probably the woman from Coalition for the Homeless was trying to do that with me. It's already, she didn't listen to what I said. It's already done. I'm pending document reviews. Okay. And I'm anonymous. So you're not really getting it. Okay. So I already asked Dedham Housing. The woman whose name is Christina, I spoke with her personally. Okay. And she said, I just wait to hear back from them. Okay. And then I called and left a message. And I think tomorrow I'm supposed to call again just to make sure everything's all right. I don't know what the waiting period is to either be denied or you're on some sort of a waiting list and just you're out of document review. Okay. Because it's been since the 20th. Is that the last day I submitted something? It's on the Champ with the last day I submitted something. I think I had till the 29th, but I submitted it before then. So even if you went by the 29th, it's the 29th, right? So it's been a month. I don't know how they do it. Maybe you get lost in some sort of a shuffle if you just go on a waiting list. I don't know, but I looked it up online. To me, it seems a little bit sort of disheartening to just be in a lockhold like that. Like, I don't want to be denied housing, but denied or approved, and now you're this number on a waiting list. Is that not how they used to do it? Right, because as I stated many times in 2016 and then again in 2017, I applied to several towns and was accepted. Dedham never got back to me. So I'm really glad they did this time. They never got back to me at all. and I'm supposed to be priority. That was the domestic I was going back and forth to a shelter from, on top of the domestic in Florida that I'm even in Massachusetts. Okay, so I did not apply for housing in 2016. And then as soon as I applied, because I was in process with Social Security, I was accepted by like 6 towns and then put on a waiting list. And there was much less documentation then too. So I don't know, maybe it's a better sign that they were asking for more things from me. I don't know. So I don't have any more answers about that yet in terms of housing. Um, I'm pretty sure I added to Champ. I If I didn't, that's part of the reason I said I was going to call and leave another message. I did hire an attorney. It's the first time that an attorney agreed to take my case. It is not the first time I attempted to hire an attorney for Social Security. Okay. It may have been 2019 was the first time I attempted to hire an attorney to appeal the Social Security. They wouldn't do it, which should seem odd. Maybe they thought I wasn't going to win, but the one in Albuquerque wouldn't even listen to my case. She specifically told me they don't want to take my case if I'm just going to leave. Okay, that's very alarming. Okay, very alarming. It's a federal office. Doesn't matter where I am. So, right, she didn't even ask all that stuff, just if you're going to leave. Okay, so you're only getting people Social Security if they stay in Albuquerque. That's part of their plan to force people to be their slaves, which should be concerning. That's called illegal imprisonment. Okay, on top of thinking Walmart using U.S. commerce as a private property. It's called brain disease. Okay, it's called brain disease. They could have lost so many layers of brain that they thought they were in another time period. And that's why it made sense to them. Like we weren't the United States of America yet. Okay, so apparently that happens. Yeah, where some people think they're world leaders still, yeah. But quiche. I got boring. I thought I was going to talk about previouses and stuff, and I started talking about your policies again. But I don't know how I would vote now because I'm street homeless. So I'm not sure how they do that. I don't doubt you can use a P.O. box, right? So I don't want to put a homeless shelter as my residential address. I don't have a residential address. I think even that is bad. So, excuse me. See, talk to my therapist tomorrow. We're going to be doing over the telephone because I'm not in Quincy. I have no intention to return to Quincy, Massachusetts ever. So there's certain things that are different now than any of the other things since I first came here in 2011. So it's not conceivable to me to return to that shelter ever. If I ever had to go in a shelter, I'd go to a different shelter. Before I kept going back there, I think because it's the one shelter I felt my children might know I was at if they were trying to contact me. Because I was having issues getting a phone and I'm continuously banned on social media. It's part of the atrocity and the Holocaust, the crimes against humanity, violations of the U.S. Constitution and my civil rights, and a kidnapping. You're helping 2 people kidnap 6 people. So that's a federal offense, not a joke. Many people that are mentally ill and they're criminally insane think that their actions are helping people. I'm sure you probably had many people kidnapped and held captive, and their people that were holding them captive thought they were helping them because they're mentally ill. You're not helping anybody by helping 2 people kidnap my children and hold me and them hostage for 14 years. So, anyways, I explained the thing about the phones many times. The pH in your brains, God's explaining to you what's happening to you in your extinction. It has to do with what's happening to your brains. It has something to do with the pH being altered. You can look it up. Ask a neurologist. Ask a neurologist. Maybe a neurosurgeon. They might know. I'm married now, and that's not a good environment for my husband. And I don't believe it's a good environment for me. I don't want to breathe in radioactive materials, breathable radioactive materials. I don't want to breathe in bacteria from your oceans. I'm tired of being exposed to the worst of your society that are being housed there and being allowed to scurry around. So, certain things I've noticed that I thought, and I was totally right about Brian being a homebody. He doesn't even talk to those people anymore. Right, just a person trying to better his life, which he deserves to do. So I really, apparently, one of the people from Bandit Health wanted to know when we were coming back in there. Don't hold your breath. It's taken Jamie months to get Nora fresh food as dry as school kid book. That particular person? Right. How long have you been seeing this person? Okay. I'm sure that person knows how bad that looks. Okay. I don't mind doing it, but why does his then girlfriend, then fiance, then wife have to be doing all these things when you're getting paid? Okay, so that's pretty bad. Doesn't look good. And then why doesn't he have to see a psychotherapist once a week? Okay, so now you're harming him with the Social Security case. And then I've got to have pseudo arguments. Okay. Fantastic. So, anyways, time for a new therapist, right? Because you have to have documentation to get Social Security. Okay. They don't have people there that help people get emergency cash and apply for Social Security and housing. Okay. Terrible. They tell you they do with that Yawkey resource, right? They don't. So, I don't know. Maybe they thought they could do it, or they're doing it by osmosis or something, or they just wanted the money, the funding. I don't take on stuff like that. Are you kidding me? I don't take it on. I offered to take over a hotel, and then I was stopped from doing that and forced to leave it in 2022. Right at the point where we were going to figure out how to get our laundry done and clean our own rooms, they forced me out of there. So they're aggressive too whenever somebody is trying to be helpful. That was the wildest of all things I've ever encountered with those people was that Ramada. And I gotta tell you, that was spooky. And then seeing some of the employees still working there after that. New personas. No outside food. Okay. That's profoundly scary, a criminal insanity. So, they're able-bodied or they're not. Are they on Social Security? Why are they not in disabled housing or an assisted living facility or a psychiatric ward? Okay, you people have degrees in what? Nothing. I was already told by another one of your employees. She knows. Okay. Why can't they bring food into a hotel that has a refrigerator and a microwave and a coffee maker? Okay. Profound criminal insanity. So much lunch meats that my urine began to smell like nitrates. Never happened before then or since. I'm clearly not supposed to be eating lunch meat sandwiches. Okay. So, how many times am I going to be expected to go in that place and have my mental and my physical health affected before the funding is finally shut off? There's got to be people willing to run a homeless shelter in Quincy that are being prevented from doing it. Okay. You know that they're running me off every time I'm out there. So they don't like able bodied people. They don't like people with the brain. Okay. So the one that they fired, I'll give her this, the caseworker of mine that they fired. I told her, and it wasn't even half of what I've done since then. I explained to her what Brian and I were doing since he got out of his detox, and she just looked at me and goes, "You hired? Are you kidding me? Never in a day would those people hire me." Especially not as what they're calling a caseworker. They would never do that. I mean, could you even see me as support staff? That's probably why that woman left. What's her name? April. She seemed half decent. And Tammy, who I actually liked. They both left. Right. That tells you something. It's unfortunately the ones that stick around. You would hope that they're doing it because they don't want to abandon the hostages, but some of them. You're not there to teach hostages American history. Just, I went to college. I,
The new $7 Lux Cravings box with the beefy 5-layer burrito, Doritos Locos Taco, and the chicken chalupa.
have never applied for that. I don't even think I would want to work in a homeless shelter. Right, just clearly, I can't even do it because I do not have a degree in anything. So the only thing I could do, and I don't know what the licensing is in the state of Massachusetts, is I could provide spiritual guidance. And I could probably say I was a nutritionist because you don't have to have a degree to say you're a nutritionist. I could say that I was a spiritual guide, and I could probably say I was a Buddhist, something along those lines. But they have so many regulations, and you're not protecting anybody, but the tax man has to get you. So, right. I'm sure you have to have some sort of a business license if you're taking in any revenue. Otherwise, you're just a homeless person or someone that someone gives donations to. Right. And then they're not getting anything in return, at least directly, because I do this. I don't have any of those accounts. Brian does. He has some sort of a PayPal or something. I don't have any of that. If I can get into stabilized housing, as they call it, I've thought about writing a book. That's going to take some time. I don't know how do you get an income from video blogging? Okay, that's not going to really help with the Social Security case right now. So, because I mean that's so minuscule, you'd have to prove that a person makes any sense and that anyone is going to pay me for it. So that's not work. Brian and I discussed this the other night, so I think that's going to be my decision about the alimony. That after my Social Security case is settled, which hopefully will be soon, going to see about hiring an attorney in Florida to see if I can get the alimony from the time at least that he left the house. The marriage was essentially over in 2006, and I couldn't get him to leave the house. But he was still supporting me. When he left the house in 2009, he immediately cut off all support to me, which he's not legally can do. So I would go from 2009 to the date that Ron DeSantis outlawed the alimony, regardless of me being remarried, because it's called back alimony that he didn't pay, that I do need to live on. So just to see what a lawyer thinks about that, given the shocking circumstances of why he was not ordered to pay alimony. Okay. An absolute refusal to answer me if I'm even divorced. I wrote to Lake County, Florida, not once but twice, and informed them that I was in another state because the man flew me out of where I lived. Okay, he flew me to another state on a one-way ticket. All of that is documented record, and then refused to let me even speak to my children. Sent me very threatening, scary emails in regards to that. Forced me to sign paperwork for a bankruptcy. Tried to get me to agree to my children forging a tax return in my name. Tried to get me to sign divorce papers from another state while holding my children hostage. And then a refusal to give me a certificate of divorce or to even tell me I was divorced. Okay. Not only Alfred, but Lake County, Florida, clerk's office. 2 letters mailed. The city of Quincy at the time, I believe it's different people working there now. This was 2016. They were asked to tell me if there was a divorce on record, and the woman began screaming at me. Okay, so really, I understand why Social Security judge did not want to, what do you call it? Did not want to rule in my favor in 2018. I'm sure if he could go back in time now, he wouldn't have done that because he screwed me out of retro. You changed your laws about retroactive after that. And clearly, it's been another 6 years. Okay, so I'm sure that judge is probably regretful about what happened. He said, I did not have representation. He didn't say that my case had no merit. He didn't say that I could work. He didn't say that I wasn't sick enough to get Social Security. Okay, and then as I explained to you, I wasn't notified in any timely fashion because I'm back and forth from a domestic violence situation in a homeless shelter in the street. So I'm not getting mail. And everyone knows about the mail at the shelter. And I didn't have a telephone. And they wouldn't know to call me. I don't think Social Security does that. So by the time I tried to submit an appeal in 2019, I was told it was too late. Okay. So then I had to begin applying again. And I believe I applied 2 more times. And it was again back and forth with letters, weird things that Social Security asked for. They were asking that shelter to submit to the federal government. Every time I've been in that shelter since March of 2012, and the shelter refused to do it. The shelter actually forged and made up that I was in Brockton on these dates. Okay. Pretty bad, but yet their funding rages on. Okay. So anyway, that's for other people to worry about. I'm worried about me and my husband at this point because I need a means to live and I need housing. So that is my focus. I don't mind occasionally if people want me, my job, to advocate for people and go over the nuances of everything that's wrong with your society, then simply give me housing and a means to live. And I'd gladly do that for you. I don't even know if I'd charge you. Okay? Enough is enough. I told you no more freebies with the stories, with the madness. No. Mm-mm. There's plenty of people making bank off of stuff like that. It's called a writer. You want news stories? Okay. What is that called? Kyle Rove? Kyle Rove didn't get an income while he was doing that? Your speech writers don't get paid? Really, enough is enough. It's regular United States of America. You clearly don't have a Virgin Mary fund. Okay. So you got to pay. And what do they call it? Preferably after I get a ruling from a law judge or Social Security itself. They still have that one more option, right? Okay. I would think I'm not telling what an attorney to do. I'm glad they're taking my case, but I'm just guesstimating that they would want to go back to the original ruling based on what a judge said was the reason I was denied. Okay, and not all this other weird stuff like I'm not blind. I'm not applying for the work. I think maybe God's telling you something else you're not getting. Okay. Because you're sort of malevolent as a group. Yes, you know how they go, I'm malevolent? Really, you're malevolent as a group. Okay. You wanted to get rid of alimony. Okay. And I have nothing in a social security fund because a man told me I had to get married when I became pregnant. And he didn't want me to work throughout the entire marriage. He knew what alimony was when he moved to Florida. Okay. A man doesn't go, I'd be living in a box if he didn't know what the laws were. He knew what the laws were when he began having an affair with the person and then contributing to her financially. He knew about the home wrecker laws. He knew about the gray area when he refused to divorce me when he was outside the gray area. Okay. That was his choice in 2006 to put us right over the threshold into permanent and rehabilitative alimony. That was his choice, not mine. Okay. So, right. So I have nothing. I don't have a retirement fund. Okay. So also what you did with the children, that's another government agency. And oh, well, that's not us. Yes, it is. Okay. This is how we know it is. Right, folks? Why will my DTA money be shut off? Because Social Security informed you that I was denied. Correct? Okay. It's all computerized. You're on all big entity. This, them, they business. Okay. I've seen judges in action since 2023. Okay, so I know how they talk. They're really not insane like you folks talk, in case you don't have anything to do with the legal system. They're really not. It's like Judge Judy, where they go, really? Okay, so you're going to tell me this doesn't matter? Why is she flipping out and punching a mortgage broker in the face who tried to sweep her? Because now you're sending her back to the street. She's already been raped in a friggin' shelter. Now she's going back to it? Okay. So this is not related to what's going on. She's just a criminal with a mental health issue. Aye. Seriously. Oh, so this happened in a train? It has nothing to do with COVID, first of all, as you're calling it. And from 2011 on, that's 10 years by 2021. It has nothing to do with the 10-year Holocaust upon this person. And no phone and shutting off a snap card and shutting off Facebook. It has nothing to do with that. And a man coming in a house going, this is an eviction. It has nothing to do with her having a knife at a train station for protection. Okay.
With Jamie away on a book tour, Nora is troubleshooting. He gets a call from Pam.
Oh, yeah. The doctor from Social Security asked me if I had anything with the legal, so she was told about that. Okay, but she can work? What if she flips out at work? Does she then go to jail because you told her to work or die in the street? Apparently. Yeah, apparently. I don't think it requires an entire government overhaul, folks. I really don't. I mean, you have 100 of me. You have even 20 of me. The totality of 2011 to current, I seriously doubt it. Seriously doubt it. All due respect. Most of these women are now terrified and petrified to leave their husband because of me. That's why they put me on a cross for what did they say it was? A decade before this man finally outlawed alimony. Okay? Trapping women and children with these men. And then you're still going to deny Social Security. And then you know I have nothing in a work fund. I have nothing in a work fund because the man impregnated me and insisted we get married. And then I shouldn't work during the marriage. That's why I'd have nothing in a work fund. That's why you have alimony. Okay, assholes? I have no idea why you ever fought a war to get rid of alimony. Just stop getting married. stop getting married, not get rid of alimony. Because then those women know they have to work because they know you're a branded asshole from the get go. Not you're going to Scott Peterson them after 20 years together. Enough of you're a king of a castle and your wife and your children are trophy pieces. Try that on for size. Because clearly many a woman go, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. We will just work or we'll live in the public housing. Bye. Apparently, we're getting another woman, female governor in New Hampshire, is it? That's a Republican.
Hi, babe. I'm gonna go outside and say, oh, my back is killing me all of a sudden. No. I don't know if it's the mail.
It's week 3 of Jamie's new school food in Greenwich. Back from his trip, he's determined to get things back on track. He's borrowed some army chefs to temporarily help him
That's
split
why I
dinner
was like,
late,
yeah, I can
so
talk
they
in the
don't walk
thing.
out.
And they must be delighted. She is, absolutely. Absolutely.
Out in the canteen, the first schools to join in should be getting used to his food by now. But many of Elaine's kids
You're not
are
even
deserting
watching
dinners for a
anything.
packed lunch,
Trying to
so Jamie gets to work on the parents.
So what's the problem, Mike?
Basically, Luke's child isn't adventurous. He's not one that will experiment and try things full stop anyway. Sophie is, usually. You said because it's got all things mixed in it, didn't you? And I know what she means by that.
Jamie persuades Luke and Sophie's mum to take their packed lunch away and put them back on school dinner.
Well, I just want you to try for a few days and then we'll talk about it again. At least I'm round you, Luke. I'm not going to take that long. Sorry, but just need to give it a try. Well, it's going to be like it's normal. Come on, it's only school dinner, so just try what you like. Try a bit. About discipline, isn't it? And not giving in at the first hurdle. So we'll try it.
Sophie eventually starts to eat her lunch, and Luke takes a bite.
That's not the idea.
It's not just the kids who are arguing about Jamie's food.
Let me know when you're ready, babe. Oh, yeah, and we should probably take the dog out. He's signing up for something. I don't know if I've mentioned this. Hopefully, he won't get mad at me. But my husband actually has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Okay. And then I'm throwing in with manic features. Like sort of like bipolar, because I'm pretty sure his psychiatrist is screening him for bipolar disorder, as you call it. Okay. Like, it doesn't really matter, but if you would ask my opinion, it's because of severe childhood abuse and a completely chaotic upheaval childhood. But it doesn't mean that, like, it's not bipolar. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, even if it can be treated, right? Like, if I based it on what I observed with Thomas and Barbara, they were completely non-compliant to therapy and they weren't on medication for it. Right. So it's different if a person's being medicated, their behavior. Right. So, yeah, that's one of the, yeah, thank God, because they would get like real super loud and like mean, where this is like snippets of mean. Okay.
A month in,
Yeah, definitely
5,000 kids in 15 schools
manic
are being
features.
served Jamie's
But
dinner.
anyways, So yes, he's applying for Social Security, and I would assume he's going to have to hire an attorney too, based on what they do to everybody. So it's pretty common for those people to try to self-medicate. Right. So, as you know, Tommy had a pretty severe drug problem. Okay, because he wasn't getting proper care. He was actually collecting Social Security, and I'm not sure if he was on the work one, if that's why there was a problem. Because even Barbara, who's on a psych, will still tell you she's not mentally ill. So if he was not getting it on a psychiatric, that was part of the problem. It was probably easier for him to get the work one because he did work. Okay. Yeah, it's very, very sad. He most definitely had mania. And when you know his mother has it and the severity of what it is, he would have been way better with medication, specialized housing, or maybe even just a Section 8. It's difficult too when some of these people have been sexually abused and they're not in treatment for it. Okay, just certain things that you can't be doing if you're going to live in public housing. So,
Basically, what happened today is I found out that Bobby.
He would probably have some sort of hereditary factor with vascularity. Is that what they were calling it? Vasculosis, because his grandfather had a stroke. I don't know if somebody forgot that. Okay, grief can be difficult process for some people, and if she's still negating the fact that she has a definite genetic factor in her family for mental illness, and it whether or not it's taught or not doesn't matter anymore because of her age. Okay, but like the paranoid thinking, she definitely is having it too. I'll be back. I'm gonna smoke a cigarette. I got 2 days if I'm gonna quit on the 1st. So.
I left them on.
Jamie's 15 and 30-minute meals.
We're talking big flavors fast.
And Jamie at home.
It's my favourite way to cook.
Hungry for more? The Jamie Oliver channel. Watch
Oh,
now.
cool. Thank you, baby.
Finish Ultimate. Engineered for the
Is
toughest
it will it work on her?
dry, burnt
Oh,
out
okay.
stains, old dishwashers.
Make sure you tell her that it's not
Finish
on
Ultimate with CycleSync technology helps deliver the ultimate clean.
At Simply Safe, your safety is the only thing that matters. We designed smarter ways to detect motion for fast emergency response.
Oh,
We created
okay.
HD cameras so you can see what's happening in your home from anywhere. All powered by Fast Protect technology. Exclusively from Simply Safe for fast police response. Get Simply Safe today with 1 free month of Fast Protect monitoring, our most advanced way to protect your home. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
You are not alone. Easy Comforts offers discreet and reliable protection with a range of products, from lightweight pads to protective underwear. Enjoy daily activities worry-free and friendly customer service designed to keep you dry and comfortable.
I need us to carry on.
Jamie goes to see Bobby, the council's head of catering at home.
How can I sort of go to my boss if he says to me, you are really overspending, you know, and I've got another 5 months, 6 months to go, and you are really over budget, Bobby, and you know why are you carrying on with it if you know it's going to go over budget?
Bobby cannot knowingly, as a public servant, if you like, overspend in public money. She can't. We're just not allowed to do that. We have a budget we have to stay within.
But this is my problem.
No, but
Your
and
bosses
it's-
are committed to
no,
this
no,
for anything
no,
that
that's
thing.
no, that's
And
right.
if
That's
I'm paying
absolutely right.
taxpayers' money,
No,
I will probably do it properly.
that is absolutely
Didn't they
right.
say when they're committed to it though, within our budget, within our...
But when we're doing the literal costing on these ingredients, you're looking at that price. That's not with any accompaniments and any fruit or anything to pudding. So if we could just iron out, that's all we want to do. Iron that out, and we roll out tomorrow because we've got it. We'll have it in budget.
After a year of hard work, Jamie has hit a dead end. He's unable to get the food on budget on a large scale, working with no margin for error and inexperienced dinner ladies. Jamie and Nora throw everything they've got at trying to find a solution. They try haggling with the wholesalers and using cheaper ingredients in Jamie's dishes.
You can cut these down so far, and there's a point where if you go any further than that, it ain't what it used to be. They won't recall chicken tikka masala. We'll have to think of an Indian word for shit. Chicken tikka fucking bulky. You know, I don't know.
It's not just the council that thinks Jamie's food is too expensive. His restaurant comes under attack in the leading restaurant guide.
The only way that they can ever get any exposure, because they can't afford to pay for their own exposure, is to come here, try and take the piss out of me, and piss the restaurant. They have a little marketing guide. Oh, how can we sell more of our crappy little magazine? Why don't we get a celebrity chef? Wicked. Who's a celebrity chef? Oh, Jamie Oliver. Yeah, let's screw him. But they're not screwing me. They're screwing my kids. And they're doing a brilliant job.
Jamie feels that today's story is part of a wider press offensive.
Yeah. When I was in holiday, I had a paper phone up and say that they had a story from my builders saying that I've been having awful rows with my wife and implying that I've been knocking her about and this, that and the other, and that I've done it all in front of the kids, and it was aggressive and all this business, right? So the first time I actually got lawyers on it, 24-hour lawyers, I got them to go to the 24-hour barristers or whatever it is in court, and we were that close to putting an injunction on it, and then they shut themselves and they didn't run it. But the fact that they didn't run it and they backed down, I still spent a huge amount of money, right, trying to stop an untrue thing coming out in the paper, okay? And I'm on the middle of a fucking holiday, and it's just not good.
No new schools have joined for a fortnight. But finally, Jamie gets a surprising answer as to why the food went over budget from David Matchett, his restaurant cost controller. The dinner ladies have been cooking more than is needed.
What we found here was that the portion sizes were, in some cases, we had estimated that we were going to get maybe 50 portions here, right? We, in fact, were getting 60 portions. Now, we didn't reduce the portion size. We actually established what the portion size was, which is one label filled in this 4-ounce label.
So where we were saying and costing 60 portions, in reality, when we served it and actually looked exactly how many normal portions we would get from it, we were getting more like 70, 71.
Bobby is convinced the rollout can start again.
Yeehaw!
With so many schools joining this food revolution, it's dawned on Jamie that he needs to prepare them better for change. He comes up with a Bible for every school that includes recipes, kitchen practice, and most importantly, a food week to get the kids more involved.
Doing competitions, we've got the song, we've got stickers, how to support the kitchen, how to sort of get the kids to be a bit more open-minded. But it's not just cooking the food, it's kind of the food culture in the school. It's, you know, integrating food into the lessons. You know, and don't forget, loads of kids at primary school can't even read a knife and fork. Loads of kids don't even know what a potato is, you know. We're munching away. Thanks, Clyde.
He tries out his week at the hotbed of complaints, Eildon Primary School. Throughout the week, food is included in every subject, from adding it up in maths to singing about it in music. And there are competitions and stickers too. At the end of the week, Jamie returned with Nora and Jules.
So what have we been doing here then? Making vegetable wraps?
Yeah.
What's been inside of them?
Onion, cheese.
How many types of vegetables?
5 different vegetables. Have you all had a go? Oh, these then?
Yeah.
So you're going to eat them for lunch?
Yeah.
Wow. You're a tomato, aren't you? Hello. How's the waste situation?
Well, although that's full of plastic bowls, there's definitely lessons to be. They've got the same amount on the plate, but they're eating it all around instead of chucking half of it away. That would be done. Start of it, it'd be 3 of those. Now that's almost lunch is almost over, and that's not even 1 yet. So it's definitely less wastage. Yeah.
On so many different levels, food has become normal, as opposed to a little footballer made out of chicken.
The Pack and Food Week have been a success. In Jamie's absence, even the trickiest kids have started eating the dinners.
I want to give you a sticker for trying something new.
Luke, who threw up Jamie's food, is now happily eating.
And as for you, sir, you're going to get 2. Because you are eating this stuff. You are eating stuff I thought you never would try. Well done. You're a good boy.
Food Week might have worked for the kids, but the dinner ladies are still working extra hours to prepare and cook the fresher food without being paid extra overtime.
There's a lot more work involved, but I suppose over the time that I've been doing it, I'm getting used to that now.
You are cooking real food now, then. It's all that sort of the powers that be stuff that need to kick into action now. You've done your bit now, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done my bit.
I've done my bit.
You've done yours.
No one's done hers. Bobby at the council's done hers. We've all kind of done our bit now. We've kind of run out of tricks, haven't we?
I think so. So it's up to them to do something about it.
Greenwich may have let Jamie in to change their dinners, but now he wants the council leader to pay for the dinner ladies' extra hours.
Sort of from day one, really, I did voice, and I know it's a bit of an obvious one, I had a little concern about hours. And I know from your point, you spent your money for this year and stuff like that. But I just thought I should let you know that a lot of the schools are doing from 1 to 1.5 hours extra a day.
And I think that's at each school.
Not necessarily in school, but I think probably 65-70% of them. On a long-term basis, if next year and going forward, the girls are still doing these hours and not getting paid for it, I'm just worried the goodwill is going to run out.
The whole budget goes to the council in February.
That's not be an answer.
That's what the council will either agree or not agree the budget.
The council agrees to try and find some extra money.
Unless you're gonna do something at the table. Stay off my live stream. Oh, we forgot to take the dog out. Oh, good. Thanks. Hi. So, anyways, I had to go smoke a cigarette because I'm planning to stop smoking on October 1st, which coincidentally I stopped smoking last October 1st after the horror that was the summer of 2023. So, we were discussing some of that off camera. I would like to forget most of it, and I'm sure Brian would. So, anyways, yeah, I'm getting kind of hungry because I haven't eaten yet today. I started a walk, which I found out today is 8.4 miles, but there's no incline to it. So I've been doing like a little bit of jogging, as I explained, but I'm not like doing it consistently because of the cigarettes. So once I stop smoking, I won't have a choice. We'll see how it goes, but I won't have a choice but to be doing some sort of fitness, at least to get through the beginning weeks of not smoking cigarettes. That's pretty much the function of tobacco smoking. If you don't smoke cigarettes and you've always wondered, it controls rage, especially in people that are my species. It's sort of a really unnatural environment for us. So we're used to a lot of physical labor, I guess, whatever you want to call it, physical activity, and we don't like all this stuff. So I try to not look at it most of the time. It's something I've noticed about people when they want to talk about businesses and restaurants and stuff, and I just don't like to look at it. It does nothing but make me upset. That goes into explaining to the other species, reminding them when they get scared and angry and stuff that I'm not the creator God. Okay, so all I can do is explain what I feel he's explained to me and things that are logical. I think a lot of the other species still have some form of logic. They haven't lost it completely. In terms of running out of space to build, the pollution, the entire lifestyle can't be maintained and sustained with this population. Okay, and the industrialism that they've become completely used to and can't survive without it. They would have never been able to expand on this land like this without industrialism and fossil fuels. So things that they used to do back in the day, they can't and don't want to do. Hi. What's that, babe? Oh, I know. You want me to bake something? All right, I'll shut off the live stream. Just give me like 5 more minutes. No, I said I want to. He wants me to bake stuff. I said I was going to. All right, I'll shut it off now. I do like cooking, yeah. In case you forgot, I was a homemaker for a long, long time. And I liked to cook before I ever met that dude, by the way. I used to do things I call concoctions because someone gave me that word, or I used to just cook things. I've started explaining myself to people around me that knew me before and stuff, just because it never came up before. And then it reiterating over and over again that I'm not saying that everybody should be like me. I'm just explaining myself and things that I wouldn't know in terms of getting to a certain point in life. One thing is I'm really not into children very much, except my own children. When I had children, I really liked having children. I plan to do that, as I explained a bunch of times. That's why I stopped trying to date. At first, I thought that was the problem, and it was just I needed a divorce. So I pretty much immediately stopped drinking when I said I'm going to start dealing with the divorce now, and then all hell broke loose. I was not doing the type of drinking that most people equate to alcoholism. I just call myself an alcoholic because I binge drink, and no one drinks alcohol, in my opinion, unless they're unhappy because it's a poison to your body, your liver. happy people don't want to alter their mental state because they're happy as is. So the problem was the dude. And as soon as I got rid of the dude, I stopped drinking. So, and then I explained the 2 relapses I had because of Brian, because it was my first relationship in sobriety. And then people told me he was dead. And then the second one was when he came back, and then there was like a small issue at the beginning of the relationship. And both times it was I think in 2023 it was about 2 weeks. And then this time it was a couple of days, and I just don't like it. I don't like it. I don't miss it at all. I don't need that. It was like for grief coping this past time. So I have really no desire to be doing that. And then the smoking is a whole nother ball game. It's like a drug addict. So once you start smoking, it takes a while to stop after you stop drinking. But what was I talking about in terms of the cooking and stuff? Yeah. Oh, the children. I'm really not into children very much. I never thought about having grandchildren. It's not really something that was ever important to me. And that I think now I would have been happy if they got married and I just had 6 children and they had spouses and no children. Children at that point to me would be a hindrance to family events, topics of discussion, family unity, taking trips. I remember when I had children, I stayed home because it's just too much of a bother. I believe in adults having adult time, and I don't believe in taking children to restaurants and things like that in certain events because they're loud and they have a right to be loud. And other adults shouldn't have to accommodate that. So some people that have children, yeah, they just sort of think that I understand it. You think everything changes for everyone because you had a child. It doesn't. I've never been really into pets. I like wild animals. Pets are another responsibility I don't want in my life right now. They're dirty. Like domesticated dogs and cats are dirty. They require constant care and cleaning. And you've got to board them to go anywhere. I just, no.
More money for healthy ingredients. Pay for dinner, ladies. And all of this should cost.
Yeah, I'm just not into the whole grandmother thing and just a million people and stuff. But I noticed that some people are really into that, which, you know, I guess if I was a child, it would have been nice to have a grandmother or a mother that all that was interested in me, or a father that was interested in me, or a grandfather, an uncle, anybody. But as an adult, no.
You are not alone. Easy Comfort.
And the way my life is right now, and given the fact that my children either didn't want to or had no opportunity to separate from Alfred, it would be difficult, I'm sure. I wouldn't have any attachment to, if they bore children, I would have no attachment to them whatsoever. I don't see them. There's no bonding. Typically, when this doesn't happen to you, your children are a part of your life. You meet the people they're courting. There's a period of time where you get to know them, and then they become pregnant, and then there's a child, and you see it, and you hold it, and you bond to it. I guess, I don't know. I haven't experienced that, but that's not really something that I would feel I was missing out on. I'm sure that would become, I guess, hurtful to 6 adults if they had a child that's nothing to me. Okay, that's just me being honest. I don't have certain traits, I guess, that other people have. This is just to get to know me. Not really. I'm not judging other people. It's only because it's come up. And I've always been like this. I used to sort of wonder about it with Barbara. When she would have children, that they were having a great difficulty with them, but yet she wanted something to do with their children. I don't do that. Absolutely don't do that. If you're not bonded to your child, where is this bond coming to your grandchild that came out of them? So I don't understand that at all. I don't do. I married a man who has no children for a reason. I was single for a long time for a reason, because I knew I didn't want to go out with a man who had children, which is a big reason why I gave up on dating and courting in 2009, because of my age. And I felt that because I had children, I wouldn't be able to find a man who didn't want children. Right. So if I had met someone at that time and he never wanted to have children, perhaps that would have worked out. He would have just been a stepfather to my children. I'm selfish like that. I didn't want to have to be bothered by his children. And I certainly don't want anything to do with a baby mama. Adults that divorce and have no children should have nothing to do with each other. That to me would be crazy, to expect your new spouse to tolerate that. That's a little bit insane. Went over that with, who was it? Was it The Rock and his ex-wife? Demi Moore. There's like a slew of them. I'm just grateful not to have that in my life. It's really kind of just comparing myself to others, really, than judging them. I don't know. We'd have to ask a whole bunch of quote-unquote Jewish women what they think about that. I think it's good in terms of a women's group, which I was in at the shelter, by the way, and a bunch of the women, that was the only reason they were going there, was because of me. If they felt the same way, they sort of maybe hid it or were judging themselves about it. You're not the only person. Okay? You're not the only person. Not everyone wants to be a grandma, and it's just, I had you and I liked you, but I really am not that much into children. Really not. I think most other people have adjusted to that in terms of why I don't have an interest in their children. I don't. I'm not really big into children. I didn't go to school for early childhood education. I've never wanted to work in a daycare. I never wanted to be a teacher. I don't work at Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah, just, I'm not a pediatrician.
And over 10,000 kids from 27 schools are now getting Jamie's healthy food.
So,
the new Secretary of State for Education publishes her intention for the future of.
You probably have families, by the way, where you have one of your children has children, and then they're basically not invited on the family trip to Las Vegas or something. Right, because you go, we know that's not suitable for children, so are we supposed to invite you and then you tell us no, or we just don't invite you? Well, how are you going to get a babysitter? You're going to leave your children with strangers? We're all taking the trip, so I guess you and your husband, or you're leaving the children with your husband. I mean, that seems a little bit. I remember when Al's mother straight out said she wasn't going to babysit. I'm like, I'm not using babysitters. So I don't believe in that. But, right, I had children because I liked my children and I didn't need babysitters. And then they grow up and then you have an adult life again. So I wouldn't have wanted to babysit either. So I think she was worried I was going to go back to work and expected a babysit. So I agree with that. Actually, I wouldn't do. I'd have the same talk. Okay, just so you know. Yeah, I'm not really. No. Especially in this, my life now. I explained it pretty explicitly on Facebook. It would seem an odd time to try to reconnect with me. Sometimes baby mamas do that, so I would hope that 6 adults are not like that. There would have to be some reason why they haven't contacted me until I was remarried. So, yeah, that's a little bit concerning. Yeah, that's a lot for a man to have to process on top of everything else. So, yeah, that was funny when I said I was crazy, and he goes, "Yeah, and your stepfather's crazy too." So if there's a problem with crazy, maybe not try to reach out to us. That's too much for either one of us to have to put up with. We've already been abused a lot in our lives. So my battery's running low, and my husband's waiting for baked goods. So I'm probably gonna have to shut this off now. Okay.
Eat better food.
Oops. All right, we'll close that, and then there we go.
You think it can't be